And welcome back. Well, many women choose breast augmentation to accentuate their natural curves and gain more confidence.
Now there is a revolutionary new product that combines the feel of silicone but has the safety of saline. And here to tell us more is Dr. Paul Lowenstein. And we are super intrigued by today's topic. This is very exciting. First of all, talk a little bit about the progress, I guess you could say, that breast augmentation has taken over the years.
Well, that's a good question. Breast implants were introduced in this country in about 1963 by two plastic surgeons in Texas, Cronin and Giroux. There have been 4 iterations since then of the silicone implants. The saline implants were developed soon after the 1963 silicone implants were in place, and there's only been 1 additional iteration of the saline implant, which is the Ideal implant, which was just approved last year by the FDA and is now available for women seeking breast augmentation.
And Ideal is the brand name as well.
The name of it is the Ideal implant.
Yeah. And what do you think is the advantage or disadvantage of saline versus silicone?
Well, I spend a lot of time with my patients discussing the pros and cons of silicone versus saline. Silicone is felt to be more natural in its feel and its appearance, and saline has the safety that if there's a leak, you know it because the breast will get flat. Whereas silicone is going to be contained by the shell that the body builds around the implant. So the FDA, when they approved silicone implants for use in 2005 after the moratorium in '92, said that you should get an MRI after 3 years and then every 2 years after that. So
to check for leaks.
To check for a leak in silicone because there's no outward sign of it. So with any kind of a saline implant, whether it's the traditional saline or the Ideal implant, you can tell by looking in the mirror if you have a leak or not.
So why are women specifically, even though the FDA says it's safe and we know this and you know this, why are women still worried about that silent rupture?
Well, because, you know, as I said, the body builds a shell around the implant, but what's to say that, you know, you couldn't fall on your chest or have an auto accident or something could break the shell that the body has built, and then you've got silicone seeping into the breast.
Gotcha.
So what then is the difference between the traditional saline versus the Ideal?
The traditional saline has 1 shell, has 1 lumen, 1 container for the salt water.
Keep holding that there. Sorry, we just got a shot of it. Yep. Okay, so this is traditional. And you can see it's got 1 shell. You can kind of see through it almost.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and it doesn't have much structure to it. It collapses when you go upright. The Ideal implant has 2 chambers and is nested. There are shells within a shell. We should have.
It looks prettier in its own.
There's the structure of it.
Right, so it's got an outer and an inner lumen, 2 chambers, and then these nested shells with baffles in them that controls the flow of the water, of the saline.
Okay.
So this is kind of like a bag of water.
Yep.
And this flows more like silicone. It's a little bit more viscous the way it flows, even though it's only saline.
Now, as you're showing this, I mean, this is a rounded shape, not a teardrop shape, which a lot of women have seen the difference. What do you think is the, I guess, benefit to either shape?
Well, a teardrop is a shape, as you've said. When you put it in, you want it to stay in that position. There's no law that says it won't rotate, in which case it no longer has the shape that you intended it to have.
Right.
I think it works well for women who've had a mastectomy. I use it a lot, almost exclusively in women who've had a mastectomy. But when you're just trying to enhance what is already there, there may be very limited indication or reason to use a teardrop shape.
And obviously, you know, there's not any overarching what is necessary for every woman, so the consultation process is very important.
Well, as I was alluding to, when I spend my time in the consultation explaining the differences, I kind of leave it up to them and say, well, you know, do you want safety? Do you want natural feel? Now you have an implant that offers both. I mean, I first learned about this in 2007.
Yeah.
It was developed, I know the inventor of it, and I've been waiting and waiting and waiting, and finally it's now available for use.
So it's new.
The implant is new, but there's nothing new about the materials.
Gotcha.
The shell is silicone rubber, which is produced by a company that produces silicone materials for medical devices all over the world. Salt water is salt water. It's the same thing that we use in the traditional saline implant. So there's nothing new about the materials. It's just the way it's constructed.
And you can choose different sizes.
You have
That's something
different
that
sizes
when women
available.
come in, you really can help them determine what's the best choice for them.
Right, and the interesting thing is that it's been published now, the 2-year follow-up study. The study started in 2009, so we've got 6 years of follow-up of this implant in over 500 women. The satisfaction rate for the women is about 94%.
Wow.
Satisfaction rate for the surgeons is about 95%.
And how's the recovery?
It's the same, it's no different.
Okay.
If you have surgery, you do have to allow for a recovery period.
And is it more expensive?
It is a little bit less than the silicone implant. It is more than the saline implant.
Okay.
It's a matter of a few $100s. I don't think that cost is going to be a major consideration for patients.
Well, and speaking of a really fantastic value for Morning Blend viewers, here 50% off your consultation fee if you mention the Morning Blend as well. And you can go to drlowenstein.com, and it is LOEW. Lowenstein.com as well.
And the phone number on your screen, 262-717-4000 to call for that consultation. Make sure you mention the Morning Blend to get that 50% off the consultation. Thanks so much for being here.
Okay.
Very
thank you.
educational.
Thanks for
Appreciate
having
it.
me.